Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rechak, Kudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of 2 Kings, the 6th chapter. And pretty much in this chapter, as we'll see, right, dealing with Elisha, and so the famine that ends up coming upon the northern kingdom, right, by way of the Syrians, and how the Lord delivers them there. So this is the book of 2 Kings chapter 6 verse 1. And the sons of the prophets said unto Elisha, Behold now, the place where we dwell with thee is too strait for us. Meaning the straightness here is not referring necessarily into like you look at a line and you say, is the line straight or not? Straight meaning difficult or uncomfortable, or as you can see, distress, oppressor here, and in the sense that it's not ideal, at least in this case. Let us go, we pray thee, unto Jordan, and take thence every man a beam, and let us make us a place there where we may dwell. And he answered, Go ye. So they wanted to relocate to around Jordan, and then build a place for them to stay over there. And one said, Be content, I pray thee, and go with thy servants. And he answered, I will go. So he went with them, and when they came to Jordan, they cut down wood. But as one was felling a beam, the axe and the beam is here it's tree, wood, tree, whatever you want to call it. Let me just type this in here. So as you can see here, rafter, beam, a rafter. Let's see what that looks like here. Rafter, wood. So there you can see some examples there. Cool. So basically, right, as they're cutting this down, one of them, the head, right, because you know what an axe looks like. I'm sure we all know what an axe looks like, right? Boom. So you can see something like this, for example. You have the actual head of the axe here, and then you have the wood that's going in between it. So as you're swinging, if it's not tightly set on the wood, then it can actually slip off, and that's what happened in this case. So the axe ends up slipping off, and then the head of the axe fell into the water, and it's heavy, so it's gonna sink. And he cried and said, Alas, my master, or alas, master, for it was borrowed, so that's not mine, I don't own it. And the man of God said, Where fell it? And he shewed him the place. And he cut down a stick and cast it in thither, and the iron did swim. So basically, he said, which part of the body of water did the head of the axe fall? So once the prophet showed Elisha, he threw a stick there, and then you can imagine the iron starting to rise up. It's starting to come up towards that area. Therefore he said, Take it up to thee. And he put out his hand and took it. So, and it goes to show you, man, this is the power of the Lord, right? Like, it's literally, you literally live life without worries, because whatever happens, the Lord is able to deliver you from it, right? An example here being, like, you can imagine how, no wonder they pressed him to move with them, right? Because imagine that, right? Having the man of the Lord like that around, you're really not stressed for anything. Verse 8, Then the king of Syria warred against Israel, and took counsel with his servants, saying, In such and such a place shall be my camp. So while planning, certain parts they're gonna encamp and set up their forces there. Because remember, at this time there was this back and forth between Israel and the Syrians. There's different wars. and then some time where the war is not there yet, then something happens and then it sparks up again and so on. And the man of God sent unto the king of Israel, saying, Beware that thou pass not such a place, for thither the Syrians are come. So he basically gave the king of Israel a heads up, saying, the Syrians are come and they've taken over this area and that area, so make sure you don't go by there. And the king of Israel sent to the place which the man of God told him, and warned him of, and saved himself there, not once nor twice. So he went and found out, like, not obviously not he himself, but he was able to get intel that, oh shoot, these people are really, these Syrian camps really are over here. So by avoiding going there, he didn't end up getting caught by them. Therefore the heart of the king of Syria was sore troubled for this thing. And he called his servants and said unto them, Will ye not show me which of us is for the king of Israel? So there's definitely a traitor amongst us. Who is it? Because how is it that this guy knows exactly where not to be? And one of his servants said, None, my lord. So no, there's no traitor here. We're not giving intel here. We're not spying and turning on you. But Elisha, the prophet that is in Israel, telleth the king of Israel the words that thou speakest in thy bedchamber. So the fame of Elisha went all throughout, and even the neighboring nations knew, when it came to, having the prophet of the Lord, they knew that, yeah, there's a man in Israel by the name of Elisha, who was definitely a prophet, of the God of the Israelites. And he's the one who was able to do all of these things. And he said, Go and spy where he is, that I may send and fetch him. And it was told him, saying, Behold, he is in Dothan. Therefore sent he thither horses and chariots, and a great host. And they came by night and compassed the city about. So once they found out where Elisha was, basically sent troops over there in the night, and they basically surrounded the city. And when the servant of the man of God was risen early and gone forth, behold, an host compassed the city, both with horses and chariots. And his servant said unto him, Alas, my master, how shall we do? So you can imagine, right? You going and you're hearing all these horses, you're seeing these troops, they're all surrounding the city. And you're like, oh shoot, what's going on over here? Like today, imagine when you can imagine maybe like an apartment building, and you have you got helicopters flying around, you got, police cars and vans, tons of them, dozens of them just parked up over there. Some police are outside. You know how the police perch up outside the car with the door open and they got their guns aimed and all that? Just like a modern day equivalent. So the servant is like, yo, what's going on here? And he answered, Fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them. And that probably went over his servant's head the first time around. Considering Elisha was talking about the heavenly host. And Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes, that he may see. And the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw. And behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha. So when the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, it wasn't that the young man was blind, but what the Lord did was he allowed him to be able to see the realm, at least, right, of which the angels and the chariots were round about them, right? So he was able to actually physically see them around him. And then he could better understand why Elisha said that they that be with us are more than they that be with them. And when they came down to him, Elisha prayed unto the Lord and said, Smite this people, I pray thee, with blindness. And he smote them with blindness according to the word of Elisha. And Elisha said unto them, This is not the way, neither is this the city. Follow me, and I will bring you to the man whom ye seek. But he led them to Samaria. So they were blind, they couldn't see. But he basically tricked them into following him, thinking that he would lead them to Elisha, even though he was Elisha. So he ends up taking them to Samaria. And it came to pass, when they were come into Samaria, that Elisha said, Lord Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, open the eyes of these men, that they may see. And the Lord opened their eyes, and they saw, and behold, they were in the midst of Samaria. And the king of Israel said unto Elisha, when he saw them, my father, shall I smite them? Shall I smite them? So, yo, you brought them over here. Like, yo, should we, is it go time? And he answered, thou shalt not smite them. Wouldest thou smite those whom thou hast taken captive with thy sword and with thy bow? Set bread and water before them, that they may eat and drink, and go to their master. So he made this analogous to, like, when you say you go to war, you take captives and you bring them back. When you take captives, the whole point is not to bring them so you can slay them, right? So that's what he's saying here. Are you going to kill those you've already taken captive? Feed them, give them some stuff to consume, and then send them back to their master. So they basically let them go. And he prepared great provision for them. And when they had eaten and drunk, he sent them away, and they went to their master. So the bands of Syria came no more into the land of Israel. So for some period of time, the armies, right, that were the armies of the Syrians, they didn't come into the land for some time. And it came to pass after this, that Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, gathered all his host, and went up and besieged Samaria. And there was a great famine in Samaria, because when you besiege, like a city, for example, you cut off anything going in or out. So it's surrounded by the troops of the besieging force here, right? So nothing can go in, nothing can come out. And that means no water, no food, no nothing. So whatever's in there runs out, and there's no rain, there's no nothing, it's going to be a tough time. So that's what started happening here. And there was a great famine in Samaria, and behold, they besieged it until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver, which is 80 pieces of silver, and the fourth part of a cab of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver, which is, that's a lot, right? And, typically with dung here, right? Typically it wasn't, it's not necessarily that they were going to go and eat this, okay? But usually you would have dung, of animals, which would be also used as fuel, okay, for cooking. Let me actually see if I can find some. That's in one of the Manners and Customs book. It goes into that. Let me see. Animal dung used, yes, for fertilizer, but also for fuel. Cooking in ancient world. Yeah, it says here, dry animal dung. Well, here's the straight answer, right? Yes, animal dung was used as fuel for cooking in ancient times in many parts of the world, including Egypt, Persia, and Syria. Dry animal dung was used from prehistoric times, including in ancient Persia, ancient Egypt, and early modern England. In Equatorial Guinea, archaeological evidence has been found of the practice, and biblical records indicate animal and human dung were used as fuel. So, presumably the dung they're buying here is not to go and eat it, but to use it as fuel to be able to prepare whatever remnants they could put together to eat. So anyway, it was super expensive because of this famine here. And as the king of Israel was passing by upon the wall, there cried a woman unto him, saying, Help, my lord, O king. And he said, If the Lord Yahweh do not help thee, when shall I help thee? Out of the barn floor, or out of the winepress? So he's saying, look, we all getting cooked over here. How the hell am I supposed to help you in this famine? Am I supposed to, I don't know, bring up food from where? And the mention of the barn floor and the wine press, well, that's usually where you would keep the barn floor. You would either thresh, right, the sheaves, right, to get the grain to use for food, or you would store in there, right, the resources that would later be used. And same for the wine press, where you would get like your wine and so on. And the king said unto her, What aileth thee? And she answered, This woman said unto me, Give thy son, that we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow. It's crazy, right? But it goes to show you just how sore this famine was, to where this is what they had resorted to. So we boiled my son, and did eat him. And I said unto her on the next day, Give thy son, that we may eat him. And she hath hid her son. So she's complaining to the king. Now, you can, based on this, you can probably even get a visual of how they may have looked, right? They probably weren't looking in the best condition, to be so desperate as to eat your own children. That's pretty crazy. Because then if you're, assuming the child was alive, they had to then kill the child and actually boil them. And human flesh is not made to be eaten. So when you burn it or boil it, it's not going to smell appetizing like if you're cooking chicken or something like that. But yet they were so hungry that didn't even faze them. That's pretty intense. And it came to pass, when the king heard the words of the woman, that he rent his clothes. So he basically ripped them, and he tore them, and he passed upon by the wall, and the people looked, and behold, he had sackcloth within upon his flesh. Then he said, Go, or God do so and more also to me, if the head of Elisha the son of Shaphat shall stand on him this day. So he was heated. And why was he heated? He was mad because the Syrians are the ones who had besieged Samaria, which led to this famine. The same Syrians that when they came to Samaria, Elisha told them to feed them and let them go back to their master. So he was pretty upset, saying, nah, Elisha's head got to come off. But Elisha sat in his house, and the elders sat with him. And the king sent a man from before him. But ere the messenger came to him, he said to the elders, so the king sends his messenger to go ahead to Elisha. But before the messenger got to Elisha, Elisha tells the elders, See ye how this son of a murderer hath sent to take away mine head? Look, when the messenger cometh, shut the door, and hold him fast at the door. Is not the sound of his master's feet behind him? So pretty much he's right behind him is the king, right, and whatever entourage he's coming with. So it's pretty much a trap there. And if you look at this in the NLT, right, it says here, Elisha was sitting in his house with the elders of Israel when the king sent a messenger to summon him. But before the messenger arrived, Elisha said to the elders, A murderer has sent a man to cut off my head. When he arrives, shut the door and keep him out. We will soon hear his master's steps following him. And while he yet talked with them, behold, the messenger came down unto him. And he said, Behold, this evil is of the Lord Yahweh. What shall I wait for, and what should I wait for the Lord any longer? And once again, right, for maybe a more modern verbiage here, while Elisha was still saying this, the messenger arrived. And the king said, All this misery is from the Lord. Why should I wait for the Lord any longer? And that brings us to the end of the book of 2 Kings, the 6th chapter. So here we are. The king has a messenger. He pretty much wants Elisha dead, and they're now at Elisha's door. Let's see what ends up happening here. But Lord willing, this is edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachak Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.